Chapter 4. Not to forgive is to be imprisoned by the past. Anonymous. It is a blustery winter morning at Dangerous Reef. The wind is very cool as it blows across the quietly undulating ocean. I'm quite comfortable in my jeans and a warm sweatshirt as I lean against an idle shark cage on the Alcyon's stern. In my hand is a steaming cup of hot chocolate, which tastes rather funny. The sweet flavor is being tainted by a pungent reek of rotting fish floating in the air. It is wafting up from a rusty bait bucket a few feet away. There is nothing I can do about the foul odor. It permeates the whole ship. The horrible smell is necessary for attracting great white sharks. The stink of decaying fish is a delicious bouquet to sharks. Using the wind and tide, we are spreading an odor corridor miles long. Any shark that stumbles into the corridor will eagerly follow the tempting stench to its source. Peering hopefully over the side, I look to see if we have any morning visitors. That's when I see a dark shape rising rapidly to the surface just a few feet away. My heart leaps in anticipation as the creature surfaces and barks at me. Rats, I think to myself, hoping for a shark. Instead, look at a pair of inquisitive eyes peering in a friendly way from the choppy waters. The fur seal pup lifts its whiskered muzzle into the air and sniffs loudly. Apparently, fur seals also find the aroma of rotting fish enticing. Reaching into the disgusting bait bucket, I carefully lift out a decomposing mackerel. The slimy fish feels squishy in my hand as I quickly flip it toward the fur seal, who swims forward eagerly. Absent-mindedly lifting the steaming cocoa for another sip, my nose is instantly overwhelmed by the close-up smell of decomposing fish slime clinging to my hand. The horrible odor corrupts the chocolate flavor into something that could have risen from the bottom of a garbage can. Lowering the cup, I noticed the first seal pup behaving strangely. It stops short of the fish and peers straight down into the water. Then it flees in alarm towards Dangerous Reef. Beneath the floating mackerel, I see a dark shadow torpedoing upwards. An 18-foot long great white shark lunges out of the water. Its gaping mouth swallows the fish as white teeth, glistening in the morning light, clash loudly together. I momentarily see a lifeless orb staring at me. Then the massive tail throws a broad slash of foaming whitewater. Quickly jumping back, I'm too late. The ice-cold salt water splashes across the stern, drenching my sweatpants and jeans. My sweats and jeans. Rushing for the bridge door, I throw it open and eagerly ring the ship's bell while shouting, "Shark! Shark! All hands on deck!" Below deck, there is instant pandemonium as the crew spills from staterooms. Some of them are still pulling on clothes. A few are carrying cameras as they run up the narrow corridor. At the lead is Bob Talbot, who is world famous for his creative photographs of whales and dolphins. Passing me, he notices that I'm soaked head to foot. I can tell he is powerfully curious about why I'm wet. But then the great white surfaces and begins vigorously biting the Alcyon's aluminum hull. The shark is in a feeding frenzy and looking for the food source, leaking blood into the water. Since the blood is coming from the metal ship, it fits shark logic to bite it. Bob runs past me and jumps down on the swim step. The small platform is only 8 inches above the water and just several feet from the ship chewing shark. Bob likes close up photography. The shark helps by crashing mouth first into the side of the swim step. Soon the aggressive shark is joined by several toothy, equally aggressive friends. Bob and the rest of us couldn't be happier. There's there are now 4 people crowding the small platform. Captain attaches a line to a bait fish and uses it to lure the sharks directly to the swim step. Bob is leaning outward with a wide angle lens foot long shooting a 17-foot long great white as it lunges for the bait fish. Missing, the shark slams back into the water. Then it quickly dives beneath the swim step, passing directly under Bob's feet. It is a very exciting moment. Then, without warning, it becomes terrifying. Bob suddenly loses his balance. I see him falling helplessly into the water, his arms waving in panic. Incredibly, he lands right on the back of the great white shark. He bounces off the tall dorsal fin and slides into the water, where he is struck by the shark's tail. The super predator is not expecting a 150-pound man to drop on its back. Bolts in surprise. A great white shark can turn around in its own length, and Bob is still thrashing in the water. Anxious hands quickly reach down to help, and he is slipping beneath the ship. There are at least 3 great white sharks off the stern, so we have to get him out fast. Finally, Bob reaches the surface, gasping and waving his hands frantically. Shockingly, one of those hands is still clutching his camera. Captain and Theory grab hold of him and lift so hard that Bob all but flies out of the water, literally landing upright on his feet. Bob is in a state of shock. He looks at his soaking wet camera, then peers over the side at a passing great white in pursuit of another shark. That was a really close call, offers Theory. How did you fall in? Asks Captain. I don't know. Bob looks confused. I guess I just fell. Close to where they are standing, a large bait fish dangles 3 feet above the water's surface from our crane to encourage the great whites to lunge out of the water. Abruptly, one does. It is the same shark that Bob fell on only moments ago. Its monstrous jaws rip the 40-pound tuna in half in a single body-mangling bite. Then the shark falls back into the water and disappears in a gigantic splash. The shark-generated wave splashes the already soaked divers on the swim step. Bob stares, slack-jawed, at the mangled half of the tuna still dangling from the crane. How did I fall in? He asked, but asked no one in particular. Carrying his ruined camera, Bob goes down below deck to change, leaving me with a very real dilemma. Apparently, I am the only one who really saw what happened. Actually, someone else knows too, but so far he isn't prepared to talk about it. When Bob was leaning over the water shooting pictures of the great white shark just beneath his feet, I was 12 feet away preparing to shoot a picture of him. I thought it would be a great action shot, so I focused a 100 millimeter lens on the crowded swim step. I clearly saw the 4th person on that platform. He was behind the others, shooting with a video camera. He had one eye open to look through the video viewfinder and the other eye closed to eliminate visual distractions. When the shark swam under the swim step, he had taken a step forward for a better view. With the one eye closed, he blindly placed his free hand out to steady himself. His hand landed on Bob's shoulder, accidentally shoving him into the water. He is now standing in the background of the rest of the activity. I know I'm going to have to confront him. Bob needs to know that it wasn't his fault. As a wildlife photographer, he has a very dangerous job. He must have complete confidence in his physical abilities, or his future performance might suffer. I wait until the other man is alone. I saw it was an accident, I offered. Yeah, he just fell in, the other man says lamely. I shake my head, saying, no, you did it accidentally when you were trying to keep your own balance. No way, the man argues. Look, you didn't do it on purpose. Bob will understand that, I replied, putting my hand on his shoulder. But you've got to tell him. The man shakes off my hand. I didn't do it, he rages, then storms below, slamming the metal door. Looking unhappily at the closed door, I now have an even bigger dilemma. This is turning into an ugly situation, and there is only one solution. The truth doesn't hurt unless it ought to. B.C. Forbes. In life, sometimes people argue for not telling the truth when it might hurt themselves or another person. To varying degrees, these falsehoods are often referred to as white lies. We lie to someone supposedly to protect them or ourselves. But from what? The truth? Honesty is always the best solution. Lies inevitably wind up hurting everyone involved. Going below, I find Bob in his cabin and quietly tell him what really happened. Though he is rightfully angry that the man didn't take responsibility for his actions, Bob also realizes that it really was just an unfortunate accident. But more importantly, Bob realizes it wasn't his own fault. Half an hour later, he is again standing on the swim step, taking extreme close up pictures of sharks. Capkin and Theory are there to help lure in the great whites, but no one is standing behind Bob. Something I see Bob confirming for himself with regular glances over his shoulder. I see the man I confronted standing alone by the bridge. He is looking rather sheepish and unsettled. Right now, the open knowledge of his mistake is making him uncomfortable, but it is a feeling that will pass, probably in just a day or two. However, had he kept the lie, it would have burdened him far into the future, maybe even for the rest of his life. One of life's simplest lessons that sometimes seems so hard to learn is that lies enslave us, while the truth sets us free. Kings take pleasure in honest lips. They value a man who speaks the truth. Proverbs 16:13.